Hi dear students, in the last class we have started with the second chapter, The Wet Makes an Impression. And the author of this story is Dr. James Harriet, and through this story he shares one of his experiences when he was a trainee under Siegfried Vernon. So James Harriet, he is the author and the narrator, and he was a trainee under Siegfried Vernon. And this story explains about an incident James Harriet had when he was working under Siegfried Vernon. Now you may take page number 14, and in the last class we had seen that sometimes Siegfried Vernon used to disappear from the clinic or the hospital, and before leaving he used to give some call notes, the list of calls. And this list of calls, many times James Harriet made mistakes. He called to the wrong people or wrong farm, and so many mistakes were there. And the incident that happened in the life of James Harriet, that is something connected with the wrong call. So today that we will discuss. The incident we will discuss. Take page number 14. Fourth paragraph. There was one time when he got involved himself. I had just taken a call from a Mr. Heaton of Bronset about doing a PM on a dead sheep. So here it explains about an incident in which Siegfried Vernon also involved in making a wrong call or attending the wrong call. So I had just taken a call from Mr. Heaton of Bronset. Bronset, it is a village name, about doing PM. PM means postmortem on a dead sheep. So someone called. The name is Mr. Heaton. He called for doing postmortem for his dead sheep. Then I would like you to come with me, James, Siegfried said. So after receiving the call, here James Harriet only received the call. And once the call was received, then Siegfried Vernon said, the in charge said to James Harriet that, I would like you to come with me for doing this postmortem. Things are quiet this morning, and I believe they taught you a pretty good postmortem procedure. I want to see you in action. So again, Siegfried Vernon continues that, everything is quiet in this morning, and your teachers in the medical college, they might have taught you everything related to postmortem, but now I want to see you in action. That means I want to see that you are doing a postmortem, so you also come with me, Siegfried Vernon said to James Harriet. We drove into the village of Bournemouth, and Siegfried swung the car left into a gated line. Swung means moved. So he slowly moved his car into a gated line. Then James Harriet asked Siegfried Vernon that, where are you going? I said, Heaton's is at the other end of the village. So he said that, where are you going? This is not the place, because Heaton is living at the other end of the village. So we must go there. Then what is the answer from Siegfried Vernon? He said, but you said Seaton's. So here Siegfried Vernon heard the name as Seaton's. So he says that, I am going to house of Seaton's, and you said that it is the house of Seaton's. Then James Harriet said, no, I assure you. Before completing James Harriet's words, Siegfried Vernon, he started to talk. Look, James, I was right by you when you were talking to the man. I distinctly heard you say the name. When you attend the call, I was listening to you, and I am sure that the name is Seaton, not the Heaton. Then I opened my mouth to argue further, but the car was tearing down the lane, and Siegfried Joe was jetting. Joe was jetting means he was so much upset. So the car near to the gate, and Siegfried was very upset. So James Harriet, he was unable to speak anything further. I decided to let him find out for himself. We arrived outside the farmhouse with a screaming of brakes. So James Harriet, he kept quiet because he thought that let Siegfried himself find the place. And they reached the place, and Siegfried had left his seat and was rummaging in the boot before the car had stopped shuddering. So shuddering means vibration. Okay, before the car stops the vibration, immediately Siegfried, he left his seat. Okay, he came out from the car and he went to the boot. Boot means the dicky of the car. Rummaging in the boot. Rummaging means searching in the boot. So immediately the car stopped. He came out from the car and he went to the dicky and started to search for something. Then he suddenly said, "Help!" he shouted. "No postmortem knife. Never mind, I will borrow something from the house." So what he was searching there, he was searching for a postmortem knife, but he forgot to take the postmortem knife. But he says that no problem, I will get the postmortem knife from the house. He slammed down the lid and bustled over to the door. Slam down means shut something in a forceful manner. So here the lid of the dicky he closed very forcefully and bustled over to the door, moved in a very busy manner. So he found a house there and he just moved near to the house in a very busy manner. Then someone was standing there. The farmer's wife answered, and Siegfried beamed at her. "Good morning to you, Mrs. Seaton. Have you a carving knife?" So here you should understand the name. It is Seaton, but actually who called it was Heaton, and somehow Siegfried Vernon misunderstood the name and he went to the house of Mr. Seaton. And he went there and asked the wife of Mr. Seaton that, "Good morning to you, Mrs. Seaton. Have you a carving knife?" So here the carving knife means, downside the meaning it is given, a knife with a long blade for slicing cooked meat. So he asked for a knife, a long blade or a long knife. Then what was the response from the lady? The good lady raised her eyebrows. "What was that you said? A person, a stranger comes and asking for a knife." So she was so much afraid and she also was so much confused, and that is why she raised her eyebrows and asked, "What was that you said?" "A carving knife, Mrs. Seaton, a carving knife, and a good sharp one, please. You please give me a sharp knife to me." Then the lady again asked, "You want a carving knife? Whether you want a long, sharp blade?" Then what is the answer from Siegfried Vernon? "Yes, that is right, a carving knife." Siegfried cried, his scanty store of patience beginning to run out. Scanty means limited. Here Siegfried Vernon, he is losing his temper and he is getting irritated, and then he said to the lady, "And I wonder if you mind hurrying. I haven't much time. I am so busy. You just go inside fast and get the knife very fast." Why here Siegfried Vernon is saying such a kind of things? Because to do the postmortem. But he is in the wrong place actually. He is in the house of Seaton and he was supposed to go to the house of Heaton, and he is demanding for a knife in the wrong place. Then the bewildered woman withdrew to the kitchen, and I could hear whispering and muttering. So bewildered means confused. So the lady was so much confused, and she was little bit afraid too, because a stranger is asking a knife. So what she did, she went inside the kitchen, and from there James Harriet could hear some of the whispering sound. Then suddenly he noticed that children's head peeped out at intervals to get a quick look at Siegfried stamping irritably on the steps. So the children inside, they started to look outside frequently and looking at Siegfried Vernon. And what Siegfried was doing, he was stamping on the step. Then after some delay, one of the daughters advanced timidly, holding out a long, dangerous looking knife. So suddenly one of the daughters came out. Okay, advanced means came out or moved forward timidly. Timidly means in a frightened way. So she came out with a lot of fear, and what was in her hand? A long blade, and it was looking dangerous. Siegfried snatched it from her hand and ran his thumb up and down the edge. This is no damn good, he shouted in exasperation. So immediately, once the lady was out or the daughter was out, Siegfried took the knife from her and he just moved his thumb up and down on the edge of the knife. For what purpose? In order to know the sharpness of the knife. And after examining, he said, "This is no damn good. This blade is not good. It is not sharp enough." He shouted in exasperation. Exasperation means in an irritated manner. He said, "Don't you understand? I want something really sharp. Fetch me a steel." So then he said to the daughter or the girl standing there that, "Okay, I want something very sharp. So get me a steel." What is the meaning of steel here? A rod of roughened steel on which knives are sharpened. It is a tool to sharpen the knife. So he is asking a tool which can sharpen this knife. Then the girl fled back into the kitchen and there was a low rumble of voices. Okay, James Harriet or the narrator heard that the daughters and the mother, they were speaking something there. It was some minutes before another young girl was pushed round the door. She injured her way up to Siegfried, gave him the steel at arm's length and dashed back to safety. So one more daughter came outside and she handed over the steel to Siegfried Vernon, and she was so much afraid, and after handing over the steel, she went back to the house. Then what Siegfried Vernon did there? Siegfried prided himself on the skill at sharpening a knife. It was something he enjoyed doing, and he was so much interested in sharpening the knife, and he enjoyed that very much, and he started to sharpen the knife. As he honed the knife on the steel, he warmed to his work and finally burst into song. So here, as he was sharpening the knife, he started to make the sound, and even the sharpening sound, it is just like a song. There was no sound from the kitchen, only the ring of steel on steel backed by the tuneless singing. So here Siegfried Vernon is singing in a low voice, and at the same time there is one more sound. What is the sound? Okay, the sharpening sound of the knife. There were silent intervals when he tested the edge carefully. In between, he tested, after sharpening the knife, he tested the knife. Okay, the edge he started to test. Then the noise would start again. When he had completed the job to his satisfaction, he peered inside the door. So here Siegfried Vernon, he was sharpening the knife, and in between he stopped sharpening and tested or checked the sharpness, and once he completed sharpening and once he was satisfied with the sharpening, he just looked inside the house. Then he asked, "Where is your husband?" he called. Then there was no reply from the home. So he strode into the kitchen. Strode means walk with a long step. Okay, it is the past, and it is the past tense of stride, and stride means a long step. Okay, walk with a long step. Since there was no reply, what Siegfried Vernon did, he went inside the house, waving the gleaming blade in front of him. Waving the gleaming means the smooth and sharp blade. Okay, the person getting inside the home by waving. Okay, just moving the knife side to side and getting inside the room. You just imagine the situation, and only one lady and her two daughters are there inside the house. They are so much afraid. I followed him and I saw Mrs. Seaton and her daughters covering in the far corner, staring at Siegfried with large frightened eyes. He made a sweeping gesture at them with the knife. So here Siegfried Vernon, since there was no reply, he went inside the house, and James Harriet, he also followed Siegfried Vernon, and once they were inside, James Harriet noticed that Mrs. Seaton and her daughters covering in the far corner. They were trembling or shivering. Covering means shivering or trembling because of fear. The lady and her two daughters were shivering there because they thought that someone is there to kill them with a sharp knife, staring at the Siegfried with large frightened eyes. So this lady and the two daughters were so much terrified. He made a sweeping gesture at them with the knife. Sweeping gesture means a long, quick look at the daughter and the lady. So he was just looking at the lady and the daughters. Well, come on, I can get started now. Then he said to the lady and the children, now you come, let us start. Let's start doing the things. Start what? The mother whispered, holding her family close to her. So the lady, the mother, she was so much afraid. She thought that the person is there to do something against them. And in order to protect her family, her daughters, she just held them very tightly and said, start what? Then Siegfried Vernon says, I want to PM this sheep. You have a dead sheep, haven't you? Then Siegfried Vernon said to this lady the purpose of his arrival there at the house. I want to PM this sheep. I want to do postmortem your dead sheep. You have a dead sheep, haven't you? Okay, I hope that you have got a dead sheep. He asked this lady. Then you can imagine what all other things happened there. Because they are in a wrong place. Actually, they are supposed to go to Mr. Heaton's house. But they came to Mr. Seaton's house, and because of that only all these confusions were made. So, you just imagine after this what happened there. Okay, so much confusions, and then suddenly Siegfried, what he did, explanation and apologies were followed. So he explained, Siegfried Vernon explained everything, and then he asked sorry to the lady. Then later Siegfried remonstrated gravely with me for sending him to the wrong farm. Okay. Remonstrated gravely with me means, here it means, he expressed a strong disapproval of what he perceived was the other's mistake. So actually it was the mistake of Siegfried Vernon. But here Siegfried Vernon said that it was the mistake of James Harriet, saying that, okay, James Harriet sent Siegfried Vernon to the wrong place. And then he said to James Harriet that you will have to be a bit more careful in future, James. He said seriously. Creates a very bad impression, that sort of thing. So that is the impression created by James Harriet. Actually, it was not the mistake of James Harriet, but in order to escape from such a kind of situation, Siegfried Vernon said that, okay, you have to be very careful. It is your mistake, it is not my mistake. As a senior daughter, he says that it is not my mistake, but it is the mistake of yours. So next time, in future, you must be very careful whenever you attend such kind of calls and whenever you do something. Otherwise, what will happen? You may create a bad impression. So that is the end of the story, and I hope that you understood the story very well. You may please go through the story once again and read the story, and if you are having some problems with some word meanings, you underline that words and search the meaning of that words in the dictionary, and again if you are unable to understand the meaning, you can just contact me and ask your doubt. And in your textbook some exercises are given, and all the exercises except the grammar part, all other exercises you are supposed to do, and you take page number 17. The exercise number A, B and C you are supposed to do and complete the homework. So I hope that everything is clear to you, and now you go through the textbook once again. Thank you. Have a nice day.